Hello everyone, welcome back to Fight Age channel. Friends, before starting to watch this video, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for supporting me, guys. Lithuanian Eimantas Stanenis, the holder of the minor WBA World welterweight title, spoke about the upcoming mega fight in his category between Americans Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, who will meet on July 29 in Las Vegas. I'm leaning towards Spence winning. Eimantas says, I have nothing against Crawford, Spence is just bigger, and he has more experience in amateur boxing. That's why I'm betting on him. Note that owning the WBA World title, Stanenis is a mandatory contender for Spence, who owns the real WBA Super title. Errol also has the WBC and IBF belts, and Crawford owns a weighty WBO belt. At some time, the Lithuanian has not performed for more than a year, since April 2022, when he took the belt from the Russian Raja Butaev. He forced downtime due to a series of force majeure shoot end of the night of July 8-9. Stanenis has his first defense planned against the 100% American knockout Virgil Ortiz. Former absolute super lightweight champion Briton Josh Taylor has chosen the favorite in the upcoming super match between Americans Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, who will enter the ring on July 29th to determine the absolute champion of the welterweight division. Josh considers Crawford to be a more skilled fighter and generally the best in the world profit box at the moment. I really like Crawford, Taylor admitted. Spence is very good and methodical in how he works and breaks opponents. But for me, Crawford is the best fighter of our time today. He knows everything and in this aspect is slightly superior to Spence, but it's going to be a very interesting fight anyway. At some time, according to the Briton, he will watch the upcoming mega fight not only as a boxing fan. They are both tops of the welterweight division, and I, as a potential future opponent, will watch the upcoming fight both as a fan and as a possible opponent. On July 29th, Americans Errol Spence and Terence Crawford will determine the absolute welterweight champion at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The favorite's mentor, Brian McIntyre, explained why Crawford would beat Spence. Terence is not like the others. All the coaches who have seen him in action know this, and these are the most devoted boxing fans. They live by it, they spend years in the boxing gym, they know better and they see what I see. That's why 99.9% of all coaches bet on Crawford. The only one who bet on Spence is his mentor, Derek James. Obviously, Terence knows how to cope against any style, against any opponent. And he does it in such a way that the opponent seems to be an ordinary, unremarkable fighter. I was a little unknown yet that on the eve of many of his fights, people were saying that this will be the most difficult test of his career for Terence Crawford. But after the fight, everyone seemed to forget about it, as if they didn't want to do him justice on principle. McIntyre is confident that Errol Spence will have to make excuses for his pre-match threats and promises. I'm even ready to bet on it. I'm telling you, when Terence kicks his ass, you're going to hear a bunch of excuses. I even believe that they will try to come up with some additional conditions in the run-up to the fight to help Spence, but I don't want to throw it at him now. I don't want to be treating it again. I think it will be hot in the ring. I think they have a rematch clause. I admit that the second fight will take place in the first middleweight. McIntyre wants Crawford not to linger in the boxing. There are two options: climb even higher or wait for those who will come for titles. I think it's time to think about retirement soon, because he has already achieved a lot in boxing. Perhaps it would be worth thinking about it already, especially if he rises higher and beats the strongest boxer of this division, regardless of who it will be. I think it will be a historic race, somewhere around the top 5, you know. Such fighters appear infrequently. They challenge themselves because only by doing so can they rise even higher. Not so long ago, the champion in 3 categories, the current holder of the WBO welterweight title, American Terence Crawford, announced his version of the top 5 best boxers of our time, regardless of the weight category. significantly not including himself there. At some time, Terence made it clear that if someone still does not see him as the leader of the pound, then after July 29th and the fight for the absolute championship with compatriot Errol Spence, whom he does not opt, no one should have any question left. It's all just talk, Crawford snapped. Some people have their performance regarding the pound-for-pound leader, but after July 29th, there will be no discussions or disputes about which fighter is the first number in the pound, Crawford said. Terence didn't fight anyone. Even Sean Porter said he didn't prepare for the fight with him the way he should have. And Kell Brook was already broken by Mia before, Errol insists. It will be a one-sided beating. Of course, Terence is a tall dude, so it's going to take a few rounds, but everyone breaks and we will break him too. Terence Crawford spoke about the dimensions of Errol Spence. According to BAT, the advantage in anthropometry and the fact that Errol is a natural welterweight will not solve anything. I have never been in the ring with Spence, but in my opinion, his superiority in size will not solve anything. All my life I was the smallest but the strongest. In every fight I strive to make a statement. And this is one of the biggest fights in my life, if not the most, and he will be the cherry on the cake of my career, says Terence Crawford. Former absolute super lightweight champion Briton Josh Taylor has chosen the favorite in the upcoming super match between Americans Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, who will enter the ring on July 29th to determine the absolute champion of the welterweight division. Josh Taylor considers Crawford to be a more skilled fighter and generally the best in the world profi box at the moment. I really like Crawford, Taylor admitted. Spence is very good and methodical in how he works and breaks opponents, but for me Crawford is the best fighter of our time today. He knows everything and in this aspect is slightly superior to Spence, but it's going to be a very interesting fight anyway. At the same time, according to the Briton, he will watch the upcoming megafight not only as a boxing fan. They are both tops of the welterweight division, and I, as a potential future opponent, will watch the upcoming fight both as a fan and as a possible opponent. Terence Crawford compared himself to the legendary compatriot Roy Jones in years of criticism of the oppositions of both boxers. I feel like Roy Jones. Do you remember how everyone said that he didn't fight with anyone? But he said the following: "It's not like that. I just make them look like they're nobody. Every time I fight with someone, people find some reason for a negative statements. One was squeezed out. The other was nobody, but before the fights, it's usually the other way around. Oh, I don't know if Crawford is ready, this guy is too big for him. And this one thought with this one, he has better opposition. When I thought with Sean Porter, everyone said that I was not big enough, that he would pick me up, that I was not at that level. But after the fight, Porter became a fighter on the decline. His father passed the fight and so on. I've heard a lot of things." Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.